And coming up next, he finally made it. That's right. He was a little late today, but it's going to be okay
Yeah.
because he's the dope dad himself trying to take Zozo to school and end up getting a flat tire from a nail in the hood. That's
Low
right.
pro.
Is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
Low pro tires, low profile tires and potholes do not mix. So thank you, Jason. My story today. My headline today is from News 12, The Bronx. New York takes a look at new after-school class focused on educating kids about cannabis. New after-school program in New York's taking the lead on educating kids about cannabis and its impacts. Should they be heralded for the proactive stance or shunned for jumping ahead of government-led efforts? Y'all remember how shitty DARE programming was? Cops would come into your classrooms back in the 80s and 90s and actually pop open a seat case to show kids a bunch of drugs in plastic bags looking like Halloween candy. Keep in mind, most of these kids probably never would have known what a crack rock looked like if it weren't for that cop. 10 years later, same kids, a dope fiend after figuring out where to find Officer Smith's forbidden candy. All because an adult told you to just say no and your adolescent intuition makes you do the exact opposite. Well, it looks like DARE 2.0 is being launched in the Bronx, New York at PSIS 218 Rafael Hernandez Dual Language Magnet School. While the majority of pupils head home as the final afternoon bell rings, a decent number of seventh graders choose to stay after a while for the little supplemental learning on weed. This junior high is ground zero for a new kind of extracurricular programming that looks to take the educational reins away from the government leaders who failed to do so and do the same thing in other major cities. Per the article, those behind the program say it's needed now that the legal market's up and running in New York City. Each week, students can be found filling a classroom after the school day ends to learn more about why the city no longer smells like garbage and exhaust fumes. And it smells like weed. The Women's Housing and Economic Development Company, aka WEDCO or WEDCO, after school programming is currently running at 3 Bronx school campuses. Their Just Ask Me or Jam session. They have traditionally aimed to create a safe space to talk about taboo topics like sexual education and, like drug use in the hood and stuff like that. But the hottest taboo issue, surely straining teenager parent relations in New York right now, is cannabis. So naturally, they added that topic to their curriculum for 6th through 8th graders. High school senior Aaliyah Cruz, a WEDCO after school alumnus, now works currently with program kids as a peer mentor. Cruz told News 12 that she thinks it's a good idea that they're shown these kinds of things, even though now it's more accessible and legal. I think that we should use that advantage wisely, she said. Although I praise the school for having the guts to even run this program, I can only imagine the backlash they're setting themselves up for. If lawmakers on a federal level can't agree as to what cannabis is and is not, and actual plant medicine educators and experts globally have been and continue to be silenced for speaking truths about what it can and cannot do, why would I want my kids taking in a bunch of information at school about it? WEDGO, are they going to take responsibility when my kids get locked up or even popped for relaying unchecked information that they learned about weed from an after-school project? Doubt it. And if y'all have a minute to check the video, it's less than 3 minutes long, so I think you should. You might agree with me on my thinking that it's irresponsible for News 12 to even put out a story like this with no interviews with adults or background information shared about the contents of WEDCO's curriculum or who they have as program facilitators. As a parent, the only thing I see here is teachers potentially loading kids' heads up with what they believe are facts about cannabis. They may have nothing but good intentions here, but who's supplying the educational source material? Who's funding this course? What are the local parent reactions to this whole thing going on? There's so many questions that I think that need to be answered about this story, and unfortunately, I just don't think we'll get them until something goes awry as a result. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but as a parent in today's America, I want to know what my kids are learning at school and why they're being taught that. I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. What do y'all think about this?